Welcome into another episode of The Big Three. I'm Heather Harrington. He is Will West.
Indeed.
Will, this is our Baller Vols edition of The Big Three because we got to talk all about the Vols today. First off, postseason awards came flooding in this week. Grant Williams, SEC Player of the Year. This is all according to league coaches.
Yes.
You also have Rick Barnes, Coach of the Year. Lamonte Turner, Sixth Man of the Year. Grant Williams, First Team All-SEC. Admiral Schofield, Second Team All-SEC. What say you about this flood of praise?
I was not surprised Rick Barnes won because the FBI is probably coming for Bruce Pearl, or at least Auburn's probably going to part ways with Bruce Pearl at the end of the year. So while a lot of people would have shared the award, I don't think the SEC wants to have their Coach of the Year then fired because of NCAA/FBI issues. So I understood Barnes. Grant Williams surprised me. I didn't think that he had the points to be able to be the guy that ends up being the Player of the Year. But for the coaches, not that he's not deserving, it's just for the coaches, they took the guy who was probably the most impactful on the best team in the SEC, and that's the Tennessee Volunteers.
Yeah, when I broke it down, because you can put Georgia in that underachieving category, Yonte Mayton, if I had a vote, Yonte would have been my Player of the Year. That's no disrespect to Grant. That's just somebody put it on y'all's show this week. Like, Grant has, yes, he's Batman, but he also has a Robin with Admiral Schofield. Yonte, he's just Batman. There's no Justice League. There's nobody coming to
he's
help
Iron
him.
Man all by his lonesome. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, so that would have been the only differential, and he led in a lot of statistical categories, which I'm big on that. But because Georgia falls into that underachieving category this was a bad team. It made sense. When I really broke it down, it made sense why Grant Williams was the Player of the Year.
And Grant was the focal point of what everything Tennessee does. Work the ball inside out, then make the other pass on the cut or something like that. So he was such a massive focal point to what Tennessee was doing. Very well deserved. It's not that it's not deserved. I was just surprised that a 15-point-a-game guy ends up getting the Player of the Year.
Yeah, especially when there were other guys in the 20s. I totally get it. Okay, so you had Rick Barnes, Coach of the Year, Lamonte Turner. Admiral Schofield, though, getting some love, being an all-SEC second-team selection. At the beginning of the season, I didn't think that was possible for him to be an all-SEC caliber player. What do you think about where he is at this point? It's his junior year and moving forward. Are we talking about a first-team guy next year?
I think so, and I think that I did not think he could make the transition to playing wing. And what he kind of did was work the tweener role a little bit, which is nice. And I think it'll actually help him if he tries to make it in the NBA after the fact. Is that I do think that he'll make a roster and be able to see what he's able to do. For me, he's the guy Admiral is that's most likely to have an NBA career currently on this team. And so if he can improve the way he did from last year to this year to next year, he could be an SEC Player of the Year candidate next year. I mean, he really could.
Yeah, that save monster jam dunk.
Unreal.
Oh, I'll never forget that. Okay, moving forward, SEC tournament action starts today. Now, the Vols, they don't have to play for 2 more days, so this is awesome. Great rest time. My big question is, who will make the finals of the SEC tournament? And then give me a dark horse candidate to maybe make some noise.
I will say Auburn and Tennessee are in the finals there. I'm going to take Auburn to win that game. I love the way this sets out for Tennessee because Tennessee struggles against more physical teams that want to get up and down, that are more backcourt oriented. Tennessee takes them out of their tempo, forces them to play their game. And so when you look at the losses Tennessee's had, it's been against teams that want to make it even uglier than Tennessee does, quite frankly. So all of those teams are on the other side of the bracket. So to me, it's just don't let Florida have a hot shooting night, and I think that you get to the finals pretty easily. But I will say Auburn gets the win over Tennessee. I just think it's a tough matchup for Tennessee. This Auburn team is. The dark horse, the only dark horse, I think we'll see a lot of chalk because the SEC only has 3 teams with above 500 record on the road. Everybody else is below 500. So if these teams can't play on the road, how do they play on a neutral site? The one dark horse I'll give you is Missouri if Michael Porter Jr. plays.
Okay.
I think and if he's Kevin Durant, they could possibly win this thing because he carries them.
I don't know who I have in the finals yet. I think Auburn can make it in their bracket. You know, what do the Cats do?
Yeah.
This is a team this is how they're built. They're built to peak this time of year, even though this is definitely a down year for them. Vols are definitely in it. My dark horse is going to be Texas A&M, though. I think if they can finally just get it together, they've got the talent.
Oh, yeah.
It's like they've got all the ingredients, in the kitchen, like, Make the cake already.
Yeah, but three of those ingredients are spoiled. It seems like with the way they act off the court. So there's that.
There is that. Okay, so NCAA seeding. You're saying the Vols get to the finals but don't win it. Does that mean they're a 2 seed or a 3 seed?
3 seed because of the way that it goes. You have 2 Big East teams in front of you, 2 ACC teams in front of you, probably 2 Big Ten teams in front of you. I just don't know Kansas. So I just don't know that you're going to be able to get.
UNC already has 9 losses,
well,
and if they don't make the final of the tournament, they could be that 2 seed that falls down.
Yeah, but you still, to me, you saw Virginia and Duke.
Yeah.
So ahead of them. So you might even have that was who I was going to say. North Carolina, what do they do? If North Carolina gets to the final, I think the North Carolina is going to be ahead of them, especially with the head-to-head win. And
the strength, their number one strength of schedule.
So, but it's just going to come down to if Tennessee wins it, I think they can be a 2 as the 8, just the 8th team on that 2 line.
How many teams get into the NCAA tournament from the SEC?
I will say 7.
Yeah, I'm only going with 7 too.
Yeah.
I thought 8 was possible about 3 weeks ago, and with Alabama on the skid, no, I'm done.
I think Providence gets in too, and a lot of people aren't putting Providence in right now.
Hey, shout out too. We're gonna have some special programming coming up on Sunday.
Yes, Sunday bracket breakdown. Sports Radio WNML's bracket breakdown is brought to you by Corona Premier at Carolina Ale House from 7 to 9 o'clock on Sunday. Stop by, watch the bracket selection show with us, and then sit and enjoy some wings and watch us break it all down.
So you'll hear all of that right here on FM 99.1 and AM 990 and on the internet, sportsradio.WNML.com. That wraps it up for this edition of The Big Three. We'll have tournament talk coming up next week.